It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call to order the planning board meeting of November 23rd, 2021. I'm going to do a quick, I don't know if I'm supposed to read this or not, but I'm going to do it. Consistent with the governor's orders extending certain provisions of the open meeting law, every effort will be made to allow the public to view and or listen to the meeting in real time. Persons who wish to do so are invited to click on the link provided. If you do not have a camera or microphone on a computer, you can use the provided dial-in number. Please only use dial-in or computer, not both. This meeting will be audio and video recorded in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. This location is accessible to people with disabilities. Wakefield provides reasonable accommodations and or language assistance free of charge upon request. If you're a person with a disability and require information or materials in an alternate format, or you require any other accommodation, please contact the town's disability coordinator, William Renault, town engineer, at 781-246-6308. As far in advance of the event as possible, every effort will be made to grant your request. Advance notification will enable the town to make reasonable arrangements to remove any accessibility barrier for you. I'm going to enable live transcripts. All right. All right, call to order. Roll call vote. Megan Menasali.
Here.
Theo Knoll.
Here.
Bill Spalding.
Here.
Jim Hogan.
Here.
And I see Susan Aud here. Bill, you are the co-host in case we have any issues with connectivity between myself. So I promise you this is going to be a quick meeting. There's really not a lot to discuss here. We did have one issue that I did want to bring to people's attention. So, which is why I called this meeting. So having dealt with item 1, call to order. Item 2, approval of minutes from November 9th, 2021. Does anyone have any comments on the meeting minutes as presented? Bill Spalding.
Yes, I just want to say that these notes are awesome, Susan. Thank you. The added information under item number 3, the discussion questions, super helpful to see that all listed, and it's helping me put together the graphics and everything for the lake information. So thank you so much.
Yep, they are good. The only comment I have is if they could be sent in a PDF format, just because when I'm at home, I don't have a license for Microsoft Word, and I can look at them online, but if I download them, I can't open them. So maybe if you send them in both, that would be good, but PDF is usually universally accepted, so anyone can look at them. So all right, anyone else have any comments or questions on the meeting minutes? All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Theo made a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 9th, 2021 as presented, and Bill Spalding seconded. Okay, roll call vote. Jim Hogan.
Yes.
Megan Menasali.
Yes.
Bill Spalding.
Yes.
Theo Knoll.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right. All right, item 3. The town received a request to rename a street after an individual. We're not here to discuss that actual, item of which street is going to be named after whom. But there was a little bit of back and forth for the town about what's the process of doing that. Apparently, Wakefield really doesn't have a formal process for street name changes. And this is something that we probably should have, because it could be a slippery slope with people starting to rename all kinds of streets if we don't have a procedure in place. I know Bill Spalding and myself had communicated a little bit, and we had done a little bit of research. But basically the gist of this discussion right now is that we need to come up with we should work on a procedure on what we feel would be the best procedures for this going forward. So I'm basically giving everyone a little bit of homework to start looking into towns that do have a procedure and see what you may prefer or like to have as standards for this. Once you start thinking about what happens when you change a name, all the things that have to come afterwards, people need to have new IDs. The post office needs to be notified. People's deeds suddenly are referencing a different street. There's people's passports might need to be updated. There's a lot of things that really need to be looked at. So it's not a quick and easy thing to name a street. It affects quite a bit of other people. So the only reason why I'm having this is just that we can start looking at it. I'm gonna reach out to Tom Mullen to see, since we really don't have a procedure right now, should we adopt one? What if we don't adopt one and people bring this forward? What happens? So basically, there's a request in town to rename a street. It bounced around and it came to basically the opinion that it's up to the planning board to review this and see if it's okay. So since we don't have a procedure, we don't know, we should have a public meeting. Should we have some standards? Once you guys start checking, you're going to see what's involved with this. Jim.
Just a point of clarification, the specific nature of the request that came in, it was the determination that it's up to the planning board to adjudicate the request that's already been submitted.
Well, since there was no procedure in town, they basically said, well, maybe the planning board should be in charge of this, is what it came down to. So I don't know, perhaps the town council could take this up and it could, so there really, since there is no path forward right now, it was kind of like put on the planning board that let them deal with it. So I don't think officially it's come to us yet, but it's going to be coming to us, I believe, unless another body takes this up. But once you start looking into some of the ramifications of not having a procedure, you could only imagine how many different things could come up. So one of the big things is the police and fire department get consulted to make sure it's not a duplication of names. It's not going to be confusing, and as long as it's not, they don't have an issue with it. So Bill Spalding pulled up some requirements or some procedures for the city of Boston. They have specific ones, like it cannot be a person who's living. The street could not have changed, I think, in the past 25 years or something like that. So there's a lot of things that you want to look into. So basically, that's what item 2 is. I want people to do a little research and see what you you would prefer to see. And we're going to address this again in the future after we get some direction from town council on how we should proceed and how we can come up with some standards. I don't know if it needs to be a zoning bylaw or what, to tell you the truth. So. Yes, Bill.
I'd like to propose that, and let me, well, we'll see what the board thinks about it, but propose that if anybody's doing research, they can send it to me. I can put it into a nice presentation as far as understanding, like grouping it together with certain similar type clauses or requirements or whatever people find. So does that sound good, Matt? If people
Yeah.
are finding research pieces, to send them to me, whether they're links or you find certain things. I went right to Boston because I know it's going to be the biggest, baddest, craziest like list of things ever. But there are some towns. I also looked at Newton and I think Winchester and a few others. And one thing they had in common, a lot of the towns had, it was the planning board that made the decision. So it would be good. I don't mind corralling all that information and organizing it in a way so when we do meet to go over it, it's grouped together. So similar types of requirements or whatever are combined or grouped.
Yep, that sounds excellent. So,
Okay.
Anyone have any questions on it right out of the gate, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an informal request to be, North Avenue, also known as Bill Spalding Way, like, or some kind of a memorial, like every intersection in Somerville has is named after somebody.
Yeah, so it is an actual street. It's a private way that wants to be renamed. So it's not like you're
Right.
naming an intersection. There are ramifications that
Mhm.
every house that is on that street would suddenly change, have to change their mailing address. So yeah, I'm just looking at it through a procedural for someone's deed. Suddenly their deed says something different. So perhaps, a plan needs to be put on file that says formally, Green Street is now Blue Street, something like that. So when you did a cross-reference, you would see that. Otherwise, people searching for this old street, if in the future, if you're searching on this new street name, you wouldn't necessarily know what the old street name was, and therefore might not find items tied to that. That's just in a legal deed
Right.
sense, but again, your driver's licenses, your mail, a lot of things have to change. So,
I think one of the interesting things that came up in a few of them that were consistent, the people or the group that's proposing the name change will also pay for the signage and everything else that needs to be changed through the town or city. It also takes on, as Matt mentioned, a lot of personal cost and time as well. So it's a little more complicated than, okay, that's a nice new name, sure.
yeah, and it comes down to setting up. Does everyone on the street need to agree with it or not? If there's no procedure, you could say, it could be like half the people agree and half the people don't, then is what happens. So I know a lot of them, 2/3 of the people that on that street need to approve of it. That still leaves potentially 1/3 of the people that get, shut out. So again, once you start looking into this, you're going to see there's a lot of ancillary issues that pop up that need to be looked at. So this is basically what I want us to start looking into. So, all right.
Yeah, Matt, is it fair to say that we're not looking at the next meeting, correct? We're looking at if people are doing some research and finding and they're sending it to me, do we want this as a agenda item on the next meeting, or is it something that we want to set a deadline for, or a agenda item for?
I don't know if we want to do it at our next meeting. We have a pretty full meeting coming
That's what I
up.
thought.
So potentially, if we have one meeting at the end of the month, we may do it then. So we will see.
Okay.
So I don't want to set a date right now, but I just wanted to get things in the works, get everyone
All right, thank you.
on notice. So, all right. So item 3 taken care of. Item 4, items not anticipated. All right, Bill, since you have your hand up, you can go.
Do you want to go first, Matt? Sorry.
No.
The chair, okay. One of my coworkers is on the planning board now in Saugus, and I did a site visit with him yesterday, and we were talking about what's going on, planning board in your town. And I was interested, it was interesting to hear that their board is the only board in town that doesn't meet in person. I found that interesting. And I thought maybe it's worth looking into, and I don't mind, maybe I'll send a message to Erin and to Steve Mayo to find out, what is the status of having audiovisual equipment at town hall that allows us to have a hybrid meeting where it is still a Zoom meeting, but people can attend in person. And I just wanted to talk to the board about that before I pursue it.
Well, I think they're still trying to work out the technology in town, so that's why it's still Zoom meetings for the most part, because I don't think they've worked out the equipment needed and basically how that's going to play out when we get into a live meeting. So, but yeah, I definitely would like to go back to live meetings, but I also want to make sure everyone's included that wants to be included. So by being remote, so.
Right. And I feel like we are excluding people because we are remote and on computers and on Wi-Fi and all that too. So I just want us to be prepared as a board, because I know we will have maybe some special arrangements that need to be done to show plans properly and all that other boards might not need to do. So I do respect that, Matt, like we're following the guidelines, we're staying online, but I do feel like there are people that also don't have the opportunity to have a computer or to log in, so they would be able to attend in person.
Oh yeah, as much as Zoom has brought a lot of people the access to it, it's also shut out a lot of people too that don't have the technology. So
Right.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to check into that, that's great with me too. So
Yep, and I just want it to be a simple message, and I'll copy you, Matt. I'll send it to Erin and Steve, just as an update to see where we are with a hybrid type meeting and what it would take to be back in town hall with the right equipment to be able to hold a hybrid meeting.
okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, did you have anything else or?
Nope, that's it.
All right, so the only item I have, well, I have 2 items. One, I don't know if anyone did any of those citizens planner seminars. I did one for drafting zoning amendments, and it was okay. They had some glitches in it. It had some items to work out, but I learned some on it. It wasn't as in depth as I had hoped, but so I did participate in one. I do have some materials that I can I'm going to try to condense and share with people at some point. So, and then the other thing, this has been kind of a touchy issue with myself and others, is I had been working on trying to get email addresses for people so we wouldn't have to use our own email. Those happened at one point, but I just found out that they have been shut down. So we don't have access to those town email accounts anymore. So I'm gonna see what the issue is of why that was shut down. I know I do have some emails that were being sent to that from certain departments. I don't know what's gonna happen with that, if they get a bounce back notice or what, but I'll look into that. And besides that, I don't have anything else. If anyone else has anything at this point they want to add. All right,
So I
Bill?
just thought, did we get a response from the ZBA to the letter that was written from our board?
I don't, what had happened is that that item had been basically withdrawn without prejudice. So
Okay,
they have some plans to revise, so they're gonna come back. At that point, everyone's gonna get re-noticed. We're gonna get another, notice that this is coming before us, so we can either tweak or resend that letter. So basically nothing moved forward with that at this point.
okay, thanks for the update.
But it was a great letter. So Megan, good job. So there's some time to tweak it if we need to for the next one. So
Change the date, pass it back in.
all right. So if no one has anything else, I'm going to move to item 5, adjournment. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, Jim's got it.
Jim on that one. So motion to adjourn by Theo, seconded by Jim. Roll call vote, Bill Spalding,
Yes.
Megan Menasali,
Yes.
Jim Hogan,
Yes.
Theo Knoll,
Yes.
and myself, Matthew Lauer, yes. So I don't think this was the quickest meeting we ever had, but it's up there. So thanks everyone for indulging me and I guess the town for having this meeting tonight. Everyone have a good holiday. Don't eat too much, and we will see you at our next meeting on let me just double check. It's the 14th. So it should be interesting. So, all right. Thank you, Susan.
Welcome. Happy
Everything.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks. Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving. Thanks for the homework.
Bye. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.